Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Olly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, horror. This is my announcement video for Horror Mayhem 2024. So, if you don't know, Horror Mayhem is an annual horror-themed reading event which takes place every May. It was the brainchild of the fantastic channel, The Bookish Bryants, and very sadly, Scott and Becky from that channel won't be joining us as co-hosts this year. Scott is very unwell in hospital at the moment, so please do send him your warmest regards, as do I and all of the co-hosts. If you're watching this, Scott and Becky, we really hope that Scott is better soon and is able to join us back on BookTube and be part of this event again next year. So Horror Mayhem is an event that's really designed for people that love horror already, but also as a way to introduce people who maybe don't read a lot of horror to the genre. So the focus is really on reading shorter books, so either on reading short stories or on reading books that are less than kind of 250 pages. So giving people a taste of horror so that they can see if they like it as a genre or not, and hopefully will come to love it as I do and as the other co-hosts do. So there are 4 themed weeks to Horror Mayhem, which I'll talk about in a moment. There's also a bingo card which is packed with fantastic prompts. I'm certainly going to try and tick off as many prompts from the bingo card as I can. In this video, though, I'm just going to talk about my provisional picks for the weekly prompts. I will also do a follow-up video at some point where I talk about my finalised TBR for the month, and also give some suggestions of books people might want to consider. I will leave a list to all of the co-hosts in the description for the video. There are a lot of them, so I'm not going to go through that full list. There's a load of co-hosts, all fantastic channels, so do check them out if you don't follow them already. Right, so let's talk about those weekly prompts. So the first week is local horror. So I've got a couple of UK set horror books for that. So I have got Cat by Andrew Sinclair, which is a nice short animal attacks book about a killer cat. So if people don't know, one of the kind of cryptids, for want of a better word, that we have, for want of a better word, in the UK is the idea of like feral big cats out on the moors and places like that. So this takes place in Surrey, which is not that close to me, but not a million miles away either. It's in the south of the UK. I've had this for a while. It looks like fun, so that may be one I read for that first week. I also have this, which is a lovely looking book, The Green Man of Eschwood Hall by Jacob Kerr. So this takes place a bit further away from me. So this is set in the north of England, but still, England's relatively small as a country. I think there are states of the US that are as big as England. So it feels reasonable to call that a reasonably local book. So those are a couple of possibilities I've got for local horror. The second week is Movie Week. So this is a week dedicated to books that are in some way related to movies. So they could have, movies as a theme of the book. They could be books that have been made into movies. They could be novelisations of movies. I've got one for that which definitely breaks the rule of 200 to 250 pages, but I really want to read it. I'm going to be doing a buddy read of this with Alex from the channel The Bookubus this month, so it felt appropriate to put it into my Horror Mayhem TBR as well. I may well read a novelisation or two as well, because I love movie novelisations. Anyway, the main book I'm going to be reading is Flicker by Theodore Roszak, which I had a copy of years ago. I never got around to reading. It's supposed to be really, really creepy. It's about like a cursed movie, I think. So yeah, really looking forward to diving into this and seeing what it's about. But it is 666. Actually, is it exactly 666 pages? Because that would be creepy. It's not. It's 669 pages, disappointingly. But yeah, looking forward to reading that. After that, we have classics. So I may read some classic horror short stories that I haven't read already, or that I haven't read for years. So I've got a nice Lovecraft collection. I may read a bit of Lovecraft. I haven't read any Edgar Allan Poe for absolutely decades. So I might read some Poe for this as well. But the main thing I'm going to do definitely is reread I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. So one of my favourite books, but I haven't read it for ages and ages. I love this this vintage Corgi paperback edition that I've got. I do have it on my Kindle as well. I'll probably read it on my Kindle. But I Am Legend, a classic vampire book. Really, really great. Filmed many times, but I think nothing beats the book. It's just an absolutely enormously tense but creative and interesting book. And then the final week is contemporary, so I've got a few options for that, and you know, for both classics and contemporary, it's up to you if you want to take part to come up with your own definition of what that means. We're not, you know, setting particular decades or year limits or anything like that for those, but use your common sense. So I've got a few things for that. I've got a short story collection which I've heard great things about. We Are Here to Hurt Each Other by Paula Diash. I was very kindly sent this by a viewer, Stephanie, a while ago. So this is nice and short stories, but it's only, the collection itself is only 130 pages, so that feels like a good one. I've also got All Too Soon by Brian Bowyer, an indie horror author I really, really like. Brian sent me a copy of this a while ago. It's under 250 pages, so it feels like a good one. Brian's work is always interesting, always quite extreme, always very, very horrific. So a good pick for Horror Mayhem, I think. And then I've also got Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, which is about 300 pages. So I've yet to read Rachel Harrison. Keep hearing great things about her. So I definitely want to give this one a try at some point. So this may be another one I read for Horror Mayhem. I think it's set in England as well. So I could potentially use it for the local week as well. So those are the 4 weekly prompts. Let me quickly run through all of the bingo card prompts as well, because there are some fantastic ones here. I don't have anything picked out for these, albeit some of the books I've talked about will work for some of these. But I definitely want to try and tick off as many of these as I can as we go through the month. So when I come up with my my kind of finalised TBR for the month, I'm going to try and tick a load of these off. I normally, you know, nowadays I have this rule where I try and only have kind of 8 to 10 books on my TBR. I think I might break that rule this month. So let me go through all 36 of the prompts. So I'm just going to go through them really quickly, just to give you a sense of, you know, it gives you an idea of the kind of things you could be reading for Horror Mayhem. So we've got Universal Monsters, graphic novels, comics or alternate media, cult horror, indie horror, personal horror or phobias, haunted houses, possession, religious horror, body horror, slashers, killer animals, horror adjacent, translated horror, diverse authors, kidnappings, psychological horror, extreme horror, one for Pax, so Pax Panic, obviously a fantastic channel, a huge part of HorrorTube until she very sadly passed away a year or so ago. Pax's motif, if you like, on her channel was the colour green, so maybe a book with a green cover for Pax. Cozy horror, non-fiction or horror based on a true story, cannibalism, apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic horror, elemental or environmental horror, folk horror, ghosts, witches, cryptids, cosmic horror, home invasions, aliens, curses, dolls, clowns, holiday horror, evil children, and technological horror. So a ton of different prompts there to whet your appetites. I'm, as I say, going to try and tick off as many of those as I can. I think I'm going to have real fun putting together a TBR for this. So that is my announcement video for Horror Mayhem 2024. Hopefully you'll take part. Hopefully, you know, I suspect many of you will have taken part in the past. But if not, if this is your first time, it'd be great to have you taking part and trying some horror. Maybe if you're a reader who is new to the genre, there's a wealth of great horror out there, and you know, I and all of the co-hosts will be doing videos nearer the time where we have, you know, kind of TBRs and suggestions and things like that. So I just wanted to close again by saying, you know, I'm sending all my best wishes to Scott and Becky. Hope Scott is better soon. We'd love to see you back on BookTube soon, Scott. But in the meantime, I will leave it there and say, as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.